So, congratulations to Real Madrid. You are now European champions, UEFA Champions League winner for the 15th time. Look, Real Madrid are big time. They are the biggest team in the world. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And welcome along, everyone. This is a review. This is my review of the Champions League final. This is a special video that I'm putting here together simply because obviously the show that I do on my channel regularly is called the Premier League Show, and a big Premier League wrap up is coming your way. It is now in the works. Now that the full season has been completed, the FA Cup completed last week, Champions League completed today. So this is kind of a special show now talking about the Champions League. So we've gotten away from the English sides just for a bit to talk about Real Madrid, who I'm now wearing their jersey. This is one that I've had. I think I got in around 2015 when Real Madrid came to Melbourne, and so I just have this as a bit of a collector's item. I thought it'd be appropriate to wear for this video. So, look, let me start out with the story of this game. And shout out, by the way, to the runners up of this year's Champions League final. That is Borussia Dortmund, who I thought put on a remarkable display. I thought for many stretches of this game, there were two kind of thoughts in my mind as you kind of watch this game unfold. Which was number one, Dortmund really have come to play today. B, Real Madrid really aren't on the game that I thought they would, and maybe the 2 week break without football might have come into play. But yeah, they weren't really on it like I thought they were, and I thought Dortmund were the more desperate team, and they created the most chances. Like from early on, they really seemed like they just in a way kind of had Real Madrid's number in terms of just they've kind of found out how to be able to counterattack them with the success and create multitude of chances. Like in that first half, Dortmund could have had 3, 4 goals. Uh, Brandt had one early. Adeyemi had a gaping hole, like wide open, and he tries to kind of dribble past Courtois to get the space, but at that point, they've like successfully navigated him sort of into an awkward shooting position. But I thought that he just had to hit that first time as quickly as possible, especially when Courtois comes out. And I don't know necessarily why in situations like that players like to round the keeper because I feel like it gives them more time to react and set or get himself a good the keeper at least get himself to a good angle. The defenders the help to come, and I thought that he could have just shot that first time. I've seen that so many times. I think about the Bukayo Saka chance that he had against Real Madrid, though the famous penalty shot. I thought he could have hit that first time early. No one I've seen ever have spoken about it. They still talk about him rounding the keeper. I always kind of think that you should aim if the keepers come out to lob him. I think that's the best way to go, especially if he's trying to make himself big. He's trying to cut in front of you. He's gonna slide out. He's given himself he's kind of like giving up the back part of that goal away. If you're able to just successfully lob him, that ball should be bouncing safely into the back of the net. I think it's a skill that maybe not many forwards possess. Maybe not as much wingers. Maybe strikers are more adept to doing such a thing, like a dink. Like I'll tell you, for instance, when I play FIFA, this you're gonna laugh at this. I kind of always when I'm in that position, I always kind of go hit the lob button, and it kind of goes over the keeper and tries to hit it. And sometimes you do hit it, and you miss the target. But I think 9 times out of 10, that's the avenue I would go in those situations, rather than kind of rounding the keeper because now you've created an ability for them to close down your angle. Um, there was another chance by Fulkrug. I thought that was definitely going in. It hit the inside of the post and bounced out. That was another one chance that really Adeyemi had another opportunity that I thought could have gone in. They had so many chances just at the top of my head. There was another one basically in the mid second half as well that they had that was clear and cut. And Dortmund should have been flying. They should have been flying out of the gates. Oh yeah, that's right. There was also the Adeyemi. By the way, Adeyemi and Fulkrug both played like spectacular roles for the game. Like they had some sort of telepathic connections here going on. I don't really watch Borussia Dortmund, this version of Borussia Dortmund, that much. Like when I was maybe about 8 to 10 years ago, I used to watch the Bundesliga a lot more often. I was living at home with my parents. I didn't have so many jobs to do. I only had to work the job, and I was able to stay up all night. I had the energy, which I do not have, to stay up all night. And I would watch the Premier League. Arsenal were struggling as much, so I kind of was more trying to take my love of football elsewhere around the globe and kind of be a bit more, have a bit more of an idea around some of the great players coming up in the league. And I thought the Bundesliga was a league that was really producing a lot of really good, exciting talent. I really liked the pace of the league. Now, not so much. I think maybe because I'm just older, don't have much time. I'm in a relationship. I've got a job. I've got a YouTube channel. So I can't be watching multiple different leagues in one sport, which is why I've now made a show called the Premier League Show, which is much easier for me to manage. Um, but I was really surprised. And look, not surprised to a certain respect, because I think Borussia Dortmund have always been the type of team that is going to give you 1,000%. They're a pain in the ass to play with. Even back in the day when they had Jurgen Klopp, they're fast paced. They're always going to be in good shape. They've got really exciting, athletic players, really technically gifted players who are very, really fun to watch. I think about Marco Reus, who's now going to call it quits on his career, as the profile of player I talk about when he was just coming out and he had just made the switch from Borussia Mönchengladbach to Borussia Dortmund. He was an electric player to watch back then under Jurgen Klopp. Um, but yeah, I look. We'll get to talking about Real Madrid more, obviously, and I've already heaped some of my praises to begin this video. But I'm just going to say that Borussia Dortmund made a really great account of themselves. And for many stretches, this was my main thought here was, man, they got to put one of these chances away. Otherwise, that's just kind of the way football is. Sometimes I watch football in a bit of a different way, and um, sometimes I sit down and I watch games with my family, with my partner, and they'll sort of look at it being like, oh, like when one team's um, dominating and they're going to create chance after chance after chance after chance, people are like all worried, and I'm like, and I have to watch football for so many years over and over and over again. I know that teams that can create that much pressure, can create that much chances, but do not score, it gets in your head. The more and more chances than you do end up building without scoring, the the more like the lack of confidence starts to creep in, a nervousness starts to creep in, the desperation starts to creep in, and it begins to throw you off, and you start creating chance after chance, and you start getting the players get a bit more frustrated. They lack a lot more composure, and you can begin to kind of unravel mentally. And I've seen a lot of games like that. For instance, Liverpool in many games this year. The games in which Man City actually failed to win or pick up points or draw, or I think of actually talking about Real Madrid, that second leg against Real Madrid. Those are the games that you end up seeing the really good teams fall away on. Even Arsenal. I remember the game we ultimately lost that cost us the Premier League was the Aston Villa game, which was very similar, where Arsenal created so many chances and they didn't put them away. And eventually, as the game creeps on, the other team becomes more opportunistic. And especially when you're playing a team like Real Madrid, who is the most experienced club, most successful club in the history of Europe, with a manager like Carlo Ancelotti, who I'm going to be addressing in this video as what I believe to be. Look, we talk about Sir Alex his dominance as manager of Man United. We talk about Pep, his dominance with Barcelona, Bayern Munich, now obviously with Manchester City. But they didn't really have the dominant spells in Europe the way that Carlo Ancelotti has. He's probably the most decorated European manager of my lifetime. He knows how to navigate this competition better than anyone else, I reckon, in the history of the sport. And a manager like that would have gone in at halftime and he would have had them kind of being like, would have had them knowing, look, we've been let off the hook here. And now you heard him in sort of his in his post match interview that I've been watching as well, the one in England on CBS. Um, oh, that's the American coverage. But he was being interviewed by Gia Balaga, and he was basically saying like, we should have lost this game based on the first half, but we got in there at the dressing room, we regrouped, and we knew that we now have an opportunity here. He would have sensed the desperation on the side of Borussia Dortmund. He would have gone in to the dressing room at halftime smiling from ear to ear, knowing that their best punch has now been made, and they will have the ability some point to counterpunch. And it happened from against the run of play. There was just really again just an opportunity on this other end by Borussia Dortmund, where Adeyemi found Fulkrug and he basically hit the post. He got saved by Courtois from a brilliant header, and then not long after, against the run of play, there was a corner from Toni Kroos, who, by the way, also will be leaving the game at the end of this and obviously the European Championships. And he puts in the corner, which is headed home by Carvajal. And I think at that point, that was it. I think the strings had unraveled for Borussia Dortmund, and then Real Madrid began to really dominate the game, feel more comfortable, create chances. And they would go 2-0 up later. Matson gives up the ball. Bellingham just composure, and this is what I'm so excited for. His next game will be in white, but it'll be for England. The player he's become, but he just picks up the ball after Matson loses it. Just such composure, slides it in for Vinny Jr., who, again, actually hits the type of shot that I would have basically across the goal, a bit of a dink, and it gets into the corner, and that was all she wrote. Now Dortmund did find the back of the net towards the end of the game when Fulkrug again, had his hands all over the game, put the ball in the back of the net. However, he was offside. So there it is, Real Madrid, 15-time champion of the Champions League. And look, as a reaction to this, I would say, firstly, to put the Borussia Dortmund stuff to a side so we can start talking about Real Madrid and the landscape of the Champions League. Obviously, it's going to be changing. But I felt like Borussia Dortmund, this was their best opportunity to win a Champions League, honestly. I felt that they dominated this game in so many different spells, and I just thought that Real Madrid just did not look like themselves. And this was a chance that it's not going to be one that's going to be... I wouldn't expect Dortmund to be back here in a year's time. And the way to navigate yourself to the Champions League already is a difficult feat, but I believe it's about to get harder with the change of a format next year. Obviously, we're going to basically have a league table sort of format with larger groups, more games, which end up in a playoffs eventually, like a knockout eventually. But there's going to be more games that you're going to have to manage as well with your domestic games. And it's going to be tricky. Like, I think it's going to be very interesting to see the way first and foremost for Champions League sides. I haven't necessarily done my research on the other competitions and if formats are changing for them as well. But there's going to be more and more football, and you need to be able to have more rotation, more additions to the sides, and that coinciding with obviously the the Euros coming up, so it's going to be hard to transfer players early. So players have to be coming in late. It's probably going to come all the way down to the deadline. So it's going to be like, as in the transfer window opens one day prior to kickoff the of the Euros. So basically, it's going to be very hard to sign a player before the Euros, unless obviously a lot of background work will be being done. Deals can get close to completion without anything official happening, and that's kind of necessarily what's going to have to be like, kind of like a pre-tampering window. But my point here is that this was very hard. I remember them when they made it to the Champions League, also against at Wembley against Bayern Munich, and this one they're like, these are rare opportunities for a club like Dortmund, and I felt like this was an even better chance. I thought Real Madrid was so open defensively, especially in the first half, and they kind of blew their opportunity. Real Madrid on the other hand, this was what's scary. No one has won more Champions Leagues than Real Madrid, and for me, I don't have a problem with that. My I'm always been traditionally someone who supports clubs that are have a history, that are genuinely built through their own means, and Real Madrid very much is one of those teams, similar a la Man United, Liverpool, like a rich history, and they're just genuinely rich in the way that they are, right? And they've built this dynasty on their own through many years. I support that, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with dominance as long as it's being done in the correct ways. Now, for here's the scary part. We talk about Kylian Mbappe is most likely going to be joining Real Madrid. So not only has now this team won the Champions League the way it is, they're about to now add the best player in the world. Look at the average age as well of the Real Madrid current players, like the nucleus that is coming up. Like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric are coming towards the end. Obviously, they've had Ronaldo, who's left maybe even 5 years ago. Karim Benzema left last year. And the average age of this team, and they've been playing with Joselu, for instance, up front as the striker. Next year, they'll be playing with Kylian Mbappe, as well as they're adding Endrick. And who else knows is going to be added onto this team? Look at Valverde, Chouameni, Camavinga, Bellingham, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo. I've heard rumors about Rodrigo leaving and going to the Premier League. I'll believe that when I see it. I think a lot of people think that because Mbappe might be joining Real Madrid, that potentially they want to play with Mbappe and Vinny Jr. on the wings. I still believe that the way that Real Madrid is set up, that I would play Kylian through the middle, and that would be scary if you had Rodrigo, Kylian, and Vinny Jr. That would be insane, and that would be the thing that I think most people would be scared of. And you just kind of look at the way the team is being put together. And I'll just mention Endrick, who's obviously of a very young age. He's not going to be coming through from Palmeiras. They added Arda Güler last summer, who I think is a really promising young talent. It remains to be seen if they're going to send him out on loan next year, if he's going to be playing with Real Madrid fully. Like, so many good young players. I mean, I think about as well on the defensive side. Most of the season they played without Thibaut Courtois. This is basically his first, I think maybe his first game of the season. Real Madrid fans, if you're watching this in the comment section, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm talking about Eder Militao. So the list like goes on and on. Like I love Mendy on the other wing, but talk about Alphonso Davies coming to Real Madrid. So that again, you're the average age of the squad will probably be around 25, 24, 25 years old overall if you add some of the younger players plus the more the veteran players. and the players at the good age, at the peak of their prime. Um, it's scary. Real Madrid. I remember not long ago when they hit their 10th, and there was a big deal about hitting their 10th. Now they're at 15, and with the team that they're building, the average age, Kylian Mbappe joining the wings, I don't believe that Barcelona is the team that it used to be. Uh, so they don't carry as much of a threat, especially in La Liga, which also makes their league campaign easier to navigate. So, look, Real Madrid are here to dominate the league, and for me, I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing. Um, I would love to see a final, maybe with Real Madrid against, I know, obviously Arsenal, Man City. But for me, like I've been seeing a lot of things online. There are Man City fans who are like, oh, we're trying to save football because Real Madrid is so dominant of football, and it's like I don't know, I don't want you to clown me in that way. The team that I believe is ruining football is Manchester City, not Real Madrid. Real Madrid is a team that I will respect, and I will never complain nor protest their ability to win the Champions League. At the end of the day, what the Champions League is about is truly being the best team in Europe. When I look at domestic leagues, I want more parity in domestic leagues because that's my bread and butter, my week to week. When it comes to the Champions League, it's the best of the best. Real Madrid is the biggest club in Europe by a long shot. Man United fans, you can try to have the argument all you want. Barcelona fans, Liverpool fans, but obviously you got Juventus, AC Milan, PSG in terms of big brands as well. Bayern Munich, but I have no complaints. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Real Madrid are always going to be there. They're always going to be the dream of young boys growing up, especially in Latin American countries. And I have no issues with that because again, it's a genuinely built club, successful club with many, many, many years of a history, and they deserve everything that they do because they go about it. Look, I don't necessarily know enough about their financials and stuff, but from what I believe, it's that everything's genuine. They're always doing it the right way. Uh, I think there have been incidents in the past about Real Madrid and stuff, but overall, the core, it's the biggest club ever, and I can't ever sit here and complain, as long as it's not my team losing in the finals. I can't really complain. I can't really complain with Real Madrid. Praise to Real Madrid. You guys are the best. You guys are an iconic brand. And yeah, so this has been my Champions League final review. Talking just being able to talk some ball with you guys quickly, and yeah, look, we move on. Um, I've got so many things planned here for the channel. By the way, make sure you are liking and subscribing to the content. We are currently in the midst of a refresh of the content that I've been creating. The stuff that I've made recently is kind of to get myself off the ground, be able to get myself to, you know, really, start making a lot more videos. And so the match reviews and stuff are going to kind of be put to the side after the NBA finals. So I'll talk about the NBA finals in another video, but after that, we got Euros coming up. But in the midst of that, I will be transforming the way this channel is. So if there's anyone who actually has any feedback for me, things you want, type of videos you'd like to see me put together, let me know in the comments section. You can send me a DM, direct message on Instagram at the moment at hotsportau. I'll leave all the links in the bios below. And hey, guys, we've made it to the end of the domestic and now European club seasons. We move on to international football as far as football is concerned. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.